Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to welcome you to our committee hearing this morning. Madam Clerk, we have several items that we believe we can put on the consent calendar. Why don't we go through those items first, and then Mr. O'Farrell, I will get promptly to you. So let's start off with the consent items, which would be items 1 through 8, and I see that I have a couple of cards. We'll just hold those items. So let's start off. I think we can quickly do 1 through 3.
All right.
In fact, well, I'm told to hold item 1, so let's do 2 and 3 right now.
All right. Items 2 and 3 are resolutions and reports from the CLA. Item 2 is supporting the prohibition of voice communications through mobile wireless devices during commercial passenger flights. And item 3 is also a CLA report and a resolution establishing support to provide guarantees for debt issued by or on behalf of state catastrophic insurance programs.
Okay. So without objection, that'll be the order where it relates to those items. Now we'll... Yes, Mr. Lamont.
Forthwith on item 2.
Forthwith on item 2. Now we'll skip items 4 and 5. I have cards on those items, and let's go 6 and 7.
And 6 is a resolution and a CLA report relative to establishing support for AB 1532 that would increase the penalties for a hit-and-run offense. And item 7 is also CLA report and a resolution relative to establishing support that would require individuals who assemble or manufacture a firearm at home to apply for and obtain a unique serial number for their weapon.
Okay. So without objection on 6 and 7, we will adopt the CLA report and resolution. 7 will adopt we'll do exactly the same thing. So that then brings us to item 1.
Yes, and item 1 is a CLA report and a resolution, Koretz O'Farrell Parks, relative to establishing city support or sponsorship of legislation and or administrative action to urge the Food and Drug Administration to assert authority over the ingredients in e-cigarettes.
Okay, so before we start on that, I'd like to afford Member O'Farrell the opportunity to come to the center table. No, you, unless you want to stand, you can. Whatever you're comfortable with. I like your combination today. The yellow is phenomenal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues Huizar and Labange. I want to first compliment the Chief Legislative Analyst on this wonderful report, and I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak. This is a very important issue in the interest of public health. On December 4th of last year, this council adopted our colleague Paul Koretz's motion, which I seconded, that limited the sale of e-cigarettes so that children and youth do not have the unfettered access that they had before. On Monday, this coming Monday, February 25th, in my committee, the Arts, Parks, Health, Aging, and River Committee, will hear the motion on restrictions of use of the e-cigarettes. But today, this committee will take up another resolution, which I co-introduced with Paul Koretz, which calls upon the FDA to basically do its job by bringing controls to the many unknowns of this product that are called out very thoroughly in the CLA report before you. This city, the city of LA, must join with the rising chorus of voices that have called for sensible regulation of this product. Organizations such as the National Association of Attorneys Generals, the American Lung Association. I urge an aye vote today so that we stand with these organizations in the interest of public health and especially the public health of our youth. Thank you for your time, Mr. President.
No, thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you, and we'll see you in 45 minutes again as well. Okay, members, any discussion or debate on this item?
No,
Mr. Labange?
I just wanted to thank Mr. O'Farrell for his leadership on this and bringing attention. I really think that the e-cigarettes came out of nowhere in a way that I saw this coming in for your quick action here and ask for federal assistance on this. To have a nationwide guidance will certainly be helpful.
Mr. Weezar, did you?
I just echo Mr. Labange's comments and thank Mr. O'Farrell for bringing this. Sometimes if we, and working on this along with others, our other colleagues, I think sometimes when we get these types of things and we don't stand up and do something for our youth and for others that might not be aware of what they're intaking, it's incumbent upon us to stand up and do something like this. So thank you for your
Okay.
work.
Anyway, so I may have a few things to say, Mr. O'Farrell. Mitchell, I may have a few things to say where it relates to this item once it gets to the council floor. But as of this moment, I would like to recommend to my colleagues that we move this along. So my recommendation would be that we adopt the CLA report and resolution on item 1. So without objection, that will be the order, and that's approved. Okay, so Madam Clerk, you think we should go to 4 and 5 now, since we have cards? Would that be your recommendation?
That is my recommendation.
Okay, so let's deal with item 4. John Liu.
And for the record, item number 4 is a report from the Chief Legislative Analyst and a resolution establishing city's support for SB 199, which would require that BB guns adhere to the same rules and regulations that govern imitation firearms and toy guns. And I believe a revised resolution has been distributed.
Okay, and where's Chang, Mr. Chang? And is this Bob? I don't see Bob. Come on down. Mr. Liu, we'll start off with you, or if you, so go right ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning. My name is John Liu, Executive Director for VisitSoCal.org, a Southern California Economic and Tourism Development Agency. I'm here to speak respectfully opposed to SB 199 for the reason that SB 199 is putting a lot of honest businesses in jeopardy, anywhere from logistics to retail to distribution. 90% of this airsoft apparatus are distributed and sold in San Gabriel Valley, and we really don't want to see that business go. The Port of Houston is very willing to take our business, and the Port of Los Angeles don't want to give that up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again.
Nice. Good to see you again, President, and the Council. I just want to point out that there are more than 5,000 jobs in the airsoft industry alone, not including the BB gun industry. There are 500 plus business in the airsoft industry alone in the state of California, including 100 right here in the city of Los Angeles. And there are over 1 million owners of these airsoft products, owning over 10 million airsoft products in the state of California currently. The airsoft industry has been around for 40 years. The airgun industry has been around for 200 years. It's American tradition. And so the 5,000 jobs, including my 110 employees and 100,000 police officers right here in the state of California, will suffer from a handful of personnel that violated the law in the last 2-3 years. And I don't believe that's fair. My name is Evic. I'm the CEO of Evic.com Inc. We're currently the largest airsoft retailer in the world, actually. And I'm also the president of the Alhambra Police Foundation, and I'm also the executive board member of the Alhambra Chamber of Commerce. And I just want to point out that in any situations, if a law enforcement is asked to distinguish a product safety level by coloring, it will make their job impossible. I know a lot of police officers for what I do, and none of them ever agreed to this. And I just want to take a second to show the poster boards. This is a bulletin post by the Baltimore Police Department 6 years ago, and colored guns has since grown since then. These are all real firearms in color.
You know what I'm going to do? Your time is basically up, but I'm going to ask the sergeants. Sergeant, if you could, and we'll give them back to you. Okay. If we could take these poster boards. And so, members, just as a little background here, years ago I found out that the gun industry was kind of going into a boutique industry of sorts. So these are photographs of weapons, actual weapons that don't look real but are real. And so that's what you wanted to show us today, in a nutshell, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Hildebrandt? And then after you, we'll get Bob. I see you back there in the red shirt. And James, come forward.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your time in the City Councils. I'd like to somewhat reiterate what Mr. Chang said, in that this bill would make our state less safe by creating the false apprehension of safety. As you can see by the photographs, firearms in brightly colored orientations have been available since before 2008 and are widely available in the market. Now, this would create more confusion with law enforcement and split-second decisions, as well as create the false impression of safety with the general public. Now, SB 199 in its current form would destroy thousands of jobs and millions of dollars in taxable revenue for the state. I believe this is a poorly written bill, and I urge a nay vote. Once again, I'm Bob Hildebrand with Airsoft GI. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Good to see you again.
You too.
And I see you have James here today also without his skull cap. He got his hair combed, looking good, James. So anyway, Bob, go on.
Yeah. My name is Bob Collins. I'm the President, CEO, and Director of U.S. Operations for Action Sport Games. We are one of the two largest manufacturers and distributors in this industry in both airsoft and air guns and pellet guns. I am totally opposed to the bill. I'm hoping that over the next few weeks, or whatever it might be, that we can look at this particular bill and come to some resolutions which will help us maintain jobs. We look at the safety side. We're all on board with looking at different things. From my company, my people go out. We are ongoingly trying to get the safety aspects out there. I will also mention that we are quite involved with law enforcement as it relates to the training and utilization of these products. This industry has been around for over 50 years. I was also the first people to ever be involved in this product, airsoft, here in the United States, having been involved with a distribution company. Again, totally opposed. I ditto what my colleagues have said, and I urge you to look closely at the color situation, because I also license. We do licensing, replication. We're one of the largest companies that do replication in the world, and I work and interface every day with the real gun industry. And therefore, I think we need to look at the combination of where we are with the red tips versus the colors, because Glock, Smith & Wesson, and many of the others, they're already making colored guns, and we don't need another incident from the real side. Thank the committee. President, thank you.
No, thank you for coming down today. Okay, James, come on, man.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. I work for a company called KWA Performance Industries. We are a manufacturer. We are based in LA County as well. This bill going through would take a lot of jobs away from us, as well as those that I know in the industry. Most of us are based here in California, and most of the items and products do come out of California. So it would take a lot of jobs away. But I think, honestly, the bigger aspect here is the safety for our law enforcement officers. color is not safety. Our officers are trained in such a way to react to protect their own lives, and to ask them to now hesitate and take a look at something that's being pointed at them is hazardous to their own lives. It could be anything, and we know that there's reports of cell phones being pointed and garden hoses being pointed and people getting shot because they didn't comply with the officer. So it's not a matter of color and what's being pointed at them. It's that the citizens are not complying with the officer. Officers are reacting to save their own lives and protect themselves. So the color is not the safety. This would be a bill that would, again, take away a lot of revenue from the state of California as well. And so that's why we oppose this bill as well.
You done? You good?
I'm done.
Again, I want to thank everyone for coming down. And I believe, Madam Clerk, that's the last public comment card I have on this item. But members, I do want to just take you on a trip down memory lane, one that I traveled. When I was in the legislature the year was, I believe, 2000, I was negotiating with the NRA, believe it or not, on coming up with a brightly color that we could place on all toy guns. There was a death, I want to say, then it was in Senator Gloria Romero's district. Some 12-year-old boy pointed a gun and a police officer shot and killed him. So at that time, we were able to come up with a bright green or bright orange color that these toy guns were to be manufactured in. But when I began that process, that's when I was informed about a new boutique industry that was occurring, which was guns that were made in decorative colors. And so now, which was a boutique industry, is now a thriving business of sorts. I do believe there's a problem. I do think that we should support this as long as the author and all involved are in dialogue with the industry to try to come up with something that actually works. It's going to be very challenging this time because, and like I mean, who the heck wants to buy a gun that has three colors on it? Red, yellow, and what? But there are people that do, and we don't want police officers to get a false sense of security, and we don't want the public to have a false sense of security. So this is a tough one. So what I'm going to recommend to my colleagues is that we move forward. We do have an amendment that will hopefully ensure that there's continued dialogue as this moves through the process. But I want to defer to see if my colleagues wanted to make a statement on this issue. Mr. Weezar is good. Mr. Labange.
I agree with you as far as to make sure you do it right. And I just wanted to ask if I don't know if the legislative analyst or some representative of the industry, what are the statistics of injury caused by these guns? I just want to know, is there a number that we have out there? We know how many people get hurt in a traffic accident, but how many people get hurt in an accident involving these type of guns? Does anyone have a number? And you can come to the microphone, if you would, real quick.
Well, we'll hear from Mr. Chang, but we don't have a counter to that or somebody that works with us.
I do want to reply that for the number of years and number of products out there, I mean, we're looking at over 20 million in the state of California alone, with the BB gun industry being an American tradition for over 200 years, being used by Boy Scouts. The number of injuries in our sports is lower than any other sports in the United States.
I just need the numbers. If the CLA could look at the numbers. Thank you so much.
No, we'll definitely get that. I said our biggest challenge, Mr. Labange, our biggest challenge is that the guns are so decorative now. And how do we come up with something that makes the law enforcement officials feel confident that it's not a real gun being pointed at them, and a way to protect. And I, off the top of my head, don't remember the statistics, but one death is too many. So we want to do what we can. So I'm going to ask that the amendment be read into the record here. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Chris Concepcion with the Office of the CLA. The changes to the new resolution for adoption are limited to the resolving clause, which read as follows. Now, therefore, be it resolved with the concurrence of the mayor that by the adoption of this resolution, the City of Los Angeles hereby includes in its 2013-2014 state legislative program support of SB 199 de Leon, which would require that BB guns adhere to the same rules and regulations that govern imitation firearms and toy guns, and require them to be brightly colored on the condition that talks with airsoft industry officials who are willing to compromise and have had productive meetings in Sacramento with the author and other legislators continue, and that the legislature develop solutions that will benefit public safety in our communities without adversely affecting Los Angeles area businesses.
Okay, so that's the amendment that the language change that we've inserted into our resolution. So without objection on guys. Where was I, Madam Clerk? Anyway, that without objection, as amended, this will be the order. Okay? So let's move on to the next.
And the next item would be item number 5, which is a CLA report and a resolution relative to establishing support for SB 712 and SB 812 to set limitations on State Department of Toxic Substances Control interim permits.
Dr. Williams.
Number 8, right here.
We'll get another one. Dr. Williams. I just saw him. Dr. Williams. We're on item 5, sir.
I only came down for 2. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council Land Use Committee. We're quite concerned about our industrial areas. They started a long time ago, and now they're starting to give us trouble. Exide is just one example. How many interim permits are there in the city of Los Angeles? Maybe we should have the Bureau of Sanitation conduct coordination and a review, an inventory of all of the hazardous materials, hazardous chemical areas within the city of Los Angeles. It should all be recorded someplace. Maybe toxic substances can be included. But how about LAFD, the fire department? They have to respond to these people, and each hazardous materials facility is supposed to be submitting an annual report to the fire department. Is this occurring? So, yes, support it at the state level, but implement real actions through the Bureau of Sanitation for the city of LA, and have them report as to what's happening, say in 30 days or maybe 60 days or 45 days, so that we can prepare now rather than waiting for the state to do something maybe this year, maybe next year, and then report back in 3 years from now. So add Bureau of Sanitation to coordinate and to prepare a report and give a status every 30 days until we have something real. Thank you.
No, thank you. Good to see you again. Questions? Mr. Weezar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I brought forward this motion to support 2 pieces of legislation that are pending before the legislature, and the focus of this is to not allow temporary permits to go on for over 30 years, as was the case with a facility in Vernon called Exide. Exide had been polluting the community for some time, in particular for the city of Los Angeles residents in Bow Heights. when we investigated, we found that the facility had actually been functioning with a temporary permit for 31 years. That doesn't have the same type of review and standards if you have a permanent permit to operate. This legislation will only allow a temporary permit to last for 10 years and would allow for greater inspections and greater safety for the area. But not only that, I think for the businesses themselves, they need to be assured that they're going to get a permanent permit at some point. So this will go a long way towards continuing to provide a way to reduce the health risk with some of these facilities that continue to pollute our communities. I ask you to vote on this.
Okay, you definitely have my support on this item. Mr. Labange, I don't believe has a response on this one.
I support it, absolutely.
He supports it as well, so it is my guess that this will move through. Okay, since the three of us have said we support it. So on item 5, let's move that we adopt the CLA report and a resolution. So without objection, that'll be the order, okay? All right, now we're going to move to the last item for today, and I'm going to ask the speakers to be sensitive to the limited time that I'm working with at this point. So if you can say what you want to say in a shorter amount of time, God bless you, and we salute you. Darrell Gale, Rabbi Klein, Dr. Williams, if you guys would please come forward.
And for clarification, this is on item number 8.
Yes. Oh, I'm
Okay.
so sorry. I'm not letting you do your job. Go right ahead.
Now, there are 2 items actually remaining, item 8 and item 9. But item number 8 is the resolution, Wesson Koretz Puscaino, relative to requesting various agencies to review and investigate the new oil production and oil drilling techniques being used throughout the city of Los Angeles.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, thank you. My name is Darrell Gale, and I live in Councilman Weezar's district. I was really listening to the news yesterday, and I was really horrified when I saw that TEPCO had another leak. And I'm thinking, boy, I'm so grateful I live in America, and we don't have to worry about, energy companies polluting our land and just giving us cancer and, changing the water and radiating us. And then I realized, oh, wait, I live in L.A., and we have the Inglewood oil field, and we have Allen Company. And I'm really, really concerned about the air and the water, and I really want us to have a fracking moratorium, not another resolution. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we will be dealing with that issue shortly. There is a motion in the works in the city of L.A., so that will be coming before you relatively soon. Dr. Williams?
For item 8, Dr. Tom Williams, not LA 32, but Sierra Club, Angeles Chapter, Fracking and Oil and Gas Committee. Again, this is very generalized. Number 1, it doesn't include the Department of Toxic Substance Controls. Are they involved in oil and gas? Can be, often are. So add them. There's also a matter, what do we get out of this? Someday, somewhere, sometime, we'll have a report back from somebody. But let's have the Bureau of Sanitation, because they've seemed to take the lead on oil and gas stuff, going to the Department of Conservation. So have the Bureau of Sanitation coordinate, review, and report back in 30 days, and maybe 30 days thereafter, regarding what's happening. There's also a matter that the state requires every oil and gas facility to submit a report every year to the LA Fire Department. Has this been done? We have a lot of oil pads. We have a lot of zoning administrators. We have a lot of things going on, but there's no central point within the city to coordinate and to provide information to the neighbors, because we're having a lot of problems with it. Strongly support, but let's give the city and the people in the city a chance to find out from our own people what's going on. And that would be best served by the Bureau of Sanitation. They were given the instruction to submit comments to the Department of Conservation. They have facilities going on down in the harbor area regarding deep injection. So they have the competence, but have them report back as to what's happening in 30 days from now or when the city.
Thank you, Doctor. And before I call on the next speaker, just to inform my members on the committee and maybe some of you that are here in the chambers, I just want to quickly indicate that around Christmas of last year, I received a significant number of complaints from individuals in the district where I live and that I represent regarding an oil drilling facility on Adams Boulevard. So we quickly met with our building and safety and planning department, and I was able to find something technical that they did not do. So within 3 days, we were able to stop the drilling. What I am doing now is just trying to get every and any report that I can do. I'm doing the very best that I can to make sure that this doesn't start up again until we can verify the safety of the individuals in the area. And in this world, life is timing. And if there was ever a time for us to move forward and make some advances where it relates to health and safety pertaining to drilling, I believe that now is that time. And so basically this is a comprehensive approach as to we're trying to get a handle on what the city can do. And I'm also very optimistic that we'll be partnering with the state government and our federal government. So with that said, Rabbi Klein, Joan Jacobs, please come forward, and Lou Watson will be next. So if I can get Rabbi Klein, well, look, you can come. You're closest, Miss Jacobs, so you go right ahead. The floor is yours.
Talking about fracking, I want to say has a deleterious effects on the environment, as we know, with contamination of groundwater and ground subsidence. Our community already has reported cracks appearing in their houses and some instances of ground subsidence simply following the sound wave testing that has been going on in our part of the city. I'm sorry, I am from Harbour Gateway Neighbourhood Council North, and live in that community. This requires massive amounts of the use of water, and California, as we know, is in the midst of a severe drought. We cannot afford to use this amount of water. There is also an LA Times article of Wednesday, February the 19th, this past Wednesday, that reported that in England there were 2 earthquakes near a small town in the northwest, and a government-appointed independent expert found that these were caused by fracking, which was occurring nearby these towns. And this is from a government which was in fact in favor of fracking, and the experts were appointed by this government. As we are all aware, we live in earthquake country, and in fact the Newport-Inglewood Fault runs directly under our community, and I think actually under my house. Thank you. So I do urge that the full Koretz-Borin fracking moratorium motion be brought to the full council, file number 13-1152-S1. Thank you very much.
Be assured, I hope that shortly we will be addressing, that motion will be before us.
Thank you.
And like I said, I think the timing's right. Yes, Ms. Watson, I don't see Rabbi Klein, Jonathan Klein, and Walker Foley. If you could start coming towards the podium. Okay. Welcome and good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Lou Watson. I am present on behalf of myself as a stakeholder residing in District 5 of the Harbor Gateway North Neighborhood Council. Attached to my presentation, I have a copy for the 3 of you, are 3 attachments. One is the map of our neighborhood council. 2 are maps, are diagram maps of the oil fields in our neighborhood council area. And I'm present as secretary on behalf of the residents of the community of Athens on the Hill and the Athens on the Hill Community Association, which is District 5. The resolution, as written, is admirable. However, it does not go far enough to protect the health, safety, and welfare of residents of the city of Los Angeles. I urge this committee to amend the wording of the resolution to include language from CF Council File 13-1152-S1, the Corret's Bonin motion that calls for a citywide ban, moratorium on well stimulation practices, example, fracking, and as soon as possible, Councilman Wesson, bringing the Corret's Bonin motion to full city council. The Harbor Gateway North area is filled throughout with oil wells, active, inactive, and abandoned. If you will look at the color pages that I have there, you will see the wells that are in our neighborhood council area. Those maps are from Dogger, the Department of Conservation. Those are Dogger maps. In addition, District 5, where I live, sits atop a methane gas field, which had a dangerous blowout in February 2002, causing residents to be evacuated, hazmat response, etc. The explosion was reported on by reporter Kenneth Reich in an LA Times article, which appeared on February 15th, 2002. In August 2013, the Harbor Gateway North area was subjected to what is known as the Rosecrans.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Thank you. Everybody gets 2 minutes. If I give you more, I have to give other people more, and I don't have the time. But I would like for you guys to hear me and really hear me on this one. We will have the Corret's Bonin proposal before the council. I am waiting for it to get through committee, and then I will guarantee that it gets to this council as quickly as I can. Where it relates to this issue that's before you, this is to take care of a different set of concerns, and it helps us highlight the issues that are affecting our community today. So I believe at the end of the day, it's going to take a series of motions and legislation. So you're speaking to the choir here. You got supporters here. So I need Ms. Foley, William Lane, Nancy Berlin, and I'm going to have to start council in 10 minutes, so please. And again, remember, you're speaking to the choir.
That's Mr. Foley.
Mr. Foley. I thought it was Walker Foley.
It is Walker, but...
I called you Mrs.?
You said Miss.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. My clock's ticking. So, good morning. My name is Walker Foley. I'm an employee of Food and Water Watch, and I've been working on fracking and well stimulation issues for 3 years, as it's actually affected me personally on my family's farm in West Virginia. So while it's good that we're talking about the oil boom occurring in Los Angeles, today's resolution falls a little short of what we actually need to be doing. Simply because the Air Quality Management District has already shown itself to be completely inadequate at overseeing this process. For the past 3 years, they overlooked toxic fumes pouring out of the Allen Co. well in University Park, which was poisoning the members of the Esperanza Community Housing Corporation. A resident of that housing project would have been here today, except that her daughter got sick. So I'm here to speak on that behalf. It took an EPA intervention and Senator Barbara Boxer to come down and fix that process. So what we need to do then is not delay with studies. You know, the EPA, the U.S. Geological Survey, Duke University, and several other esteemed organizations already have the scientific research done. The facts are out there, and what we know about fracking is that it's dangerous. Fracking and its related techniques will pollute our air, They will contaminate groundwater aquifers, and I know cleanup here is a big issue, especially in the valley. And it's going to contribute to induced earthquakes. In the last 2 weeks alone, Oklahoma has seen over 100 earthquakes occur with the increase of fracking wastewater injection wells. So in line with everyone else, I'm here to urge you today to schedule a vote for the LA City moratorium on fracking, as was authored by Councilmember Koretz and Bauman. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Mr. Foley, and identify yourself, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Nancy Berlin.
Gotcha.
I'm a resident of Los Angeles. I've lived here for almost 40 years now. And I'm a member of the Arroyo Seco network of time banks. We have 1,000 members, more or less, throughout the county, and we have a West Adams chapter as well. I'm also a board member of Alexandria House, which Councilmember, yes, is in your district, and I know Councilmember Labange, you're a great fan of ours. Thank you. I'm here because our West Adam members of the Time Bank are really concerned about the fracking issue. And we have seen our own members who are being directly impacted at this very moment. Just one example, I have a friend who's a librarian at the library at Jefferson and in Arlington. And patrons are coming in there and talking about their own health concerns and then the problems that they're having. And so we just think that, I appreciate what you just said about the process here, but it just seems like a resolution is just taking this a little bit too slowly, and we really need to put a stop now. And that's why I'm here on behalf of our neighbors there who are worried about their health to call for a moratorium, that we need more time to look at this before we endanger the health of our neighbors and our families. And so that's why I think you're hearing all of us say that today, that we appreciate the efforts of putting a resolution forward, but we just need to stop it. When there's a public health danger, you stop something and you take a look at it before you move forward. And so that's what I'm urging you today.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So, William Lane, Elizabeth Garcia, Brenna Norton. Yes, sir. Identify yourself.
My name is William Lane. I live in Mr. Labange's district. Good to see you again. You know, we're living in a time when corporations rule the world. And we all know that's true. And we all know that you wouldn't be here if it weren't for the big corporations. We need to make a difference. You need to make a difference. I know that your predecessors, back before many of you were born maybe, had the great wisdom to sell out all of the railroads in Los Angeles when you could get on a train and go to Santa Monica, when you could get on a train and go to Pasadena. They sold them out to Exxon, the big corporations, the auto companies, and so they could have more cars and buy more gas. That was a very bad decision. You all know that now. This would be a very bad decision if you don't come down hard and make a big difference, and not just moratoriums. This is beyond reason that you would allow people to come in and inject chemicals into Mother Earth and expect something not to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. You have a giant earthquake here, all that crap can come up to the top, pollute everything. And we don't know. If corporations do their studies, corporations are the ones that have the money that can afford to do the studies, and they don't let a study come out unless it comes out in their favor. They can rob our water. Nestle's can go out and take the water out of the ground. They buy a lot someplace. They take it out. They take your water, and then they sell it to you at the price more than you pay for gas. It's our water they're stealing. And they want to pollute our water. They talk about jobs. What jobs? The pipeline going through the Midwest, taking over Indian land, polluting Indian land. I'm part Cherokee. And you know, this is a bunch of hooey.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lane. Okay, Mr. Koretz, since you're here a little early and we've got some folk in the audience, I want to make this statement to you, that as soon as you and Mr. Bonin want to move your motion motion where it relates to a moratorium, as soon as you move it to committee, then I will guarantee that it will promptly be on this floor. Okay? So, we will work together on that. Ms. Garcia, welcome.
Thank you. In view of what's happening in Oklahoma, as far as the earthquakes, scientists have correlated that to the drilling, and also in view that Dallas has zoned out fracking, and so have 150 cities in New York State, and for Colorado cities, so can Los Angeles. The city of Los Angeles needs to embrace a compassionate role in the lives of its citizens, families, children, and the environment. Compassion special interests are priceless blessings or benefits such as health, clean water, clean air, and the positive influence upon others to do the right thing. Compassion guides the way for a humanitarian democracy that can never be trumped by special interests. I implore each and every one of Los Angeles leaders to think and to be guided by compassion. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have just been informed by the chairman of Planning and Land Use that he will schedule this motion, Mr. Kretz, immediately. Please come forward. Identify yourself.
Hello, I'm Brenna Norton. I'm a community organizer with the nonprofit Food and Water Watch. Good morning to the Rules Committee and Council Member President Wesson. I've worked for the last 2 years with communities affected by fracking in Los Angeles and across California and acidizing. And we launched a campaign 2 years ago, sitting on the Baldwin Hills Inglewood oil field,
yes.
Looking over that field. And since then, we released a report saying, Los Angeles, here they come. And in the past 2 years, we've seen wells open across Los Angeles, including in your district, Council Member President Wesson, where residents are getting sick from this practice. I guess I meant to say something different than everyone else has said today, which is I'm happy that California Senator Holly Mitchell is continuing her leadership in introducing a new moratorium on fracking at the statewide level. But realistically, this battle could take several years. Los Angeles residents are in the line of fire today, and that's why we need to pass at the local level and lead at the local level. And Los Angeles needs to zone out fracking and related technologies until it can be proven to be safe, especially in this high-dense urban communities. How do you evacuate thousands of people when there's an explosion like the two that happened last week in 2 different states on fracking wells? So thank you so much again for your leadership today, and we look forward to seeing this at the council soon.
You will see it. Thank you very much. Okay, folks, we are running out of time, so if I can call on Ann from Valley Village. I can't work. I'll have you tell me the last name. And do we have a Kent Sierra Club? Kent, usually I don't let people speak if they put in a card after the discussion has begun, but I'm going to have you come and speak quickly. Ann, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning. My name is Ann Shabte, and I live in the Valley. And there's not much left for me to say today. Everybody's probably said it already. I'm happy to hear that the moratorium is going to come into place. I would just ask, please, that there be no fracking until it's proven safe. That's the key issue, so that all of Los Angeles will be safe and there will be no further problems that we've been having. That's basically what I came to say.
No, and thank you for taking the time to come
Thank you very much.
say that. Okay. Kent.
Yeah. Thanks for shoehorning me in here. I'm Kent Minot, a retired teacher. I work with the Sierra Club's Beyond Coal campaign. I work as a volunteer. It's essential to get the order of business right on this issue. When citizens are being harmed and coming forward in such numbers, we must stop the harm first and do the study second. Numerous cities, counties, states, and even whole countries around the world have already zoned out fracking, and the mandate for public agencies to study the effects of fracking is already established. Protect our citizens first. Moratorium now. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming down. So, members, on item 8, I recommend that we adopt the resolution. So, without objection, that will be the order. Madam Clerk, if you could read item 9, I'm going to add that to the consent calendar so we can move it in the interest of time. So, item 9.
And item 9 is the City Clerk report relative to proposed amendments to the Los Angeles City Election Code.
Okay. All right. So, don't go anywhere. So, without objection, we will adopt the City Clerk's report on item 9. Okay. Now, we move to general public comment. I have 3 cards. In the interest of time, I will give these speakers 1 minute. Dr. Williams, please come forward. Ms. Ramirez and Mr. Walsh. Oh, Dr. Williams passes. So, Mr. Walsh, you're there. If you could come on down. Followed by Ms. Ramirez.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Good. Anti-fracking. Remember what neighborhoods these happen in. Minority neighborhoods. There's plenty of oil in white man's neighborhood, too. But they go because the minority politicians sell their own people out. You don't hear Parks saying anything against fracking, do you? Or Price. Let me tell you right now. We are the NIMBYs. Not in our backyard includes fracking and high-rises. And we join with our friends, the limp-dick liberal Greenies. Greenies and NIMBYs together against fracking. And
there is a bunch of kids here, John.
The only reason there is fracking now is that you allowed it. Now that we've formed an organization, now you're pushing back. No fracking, no how, not in my backyard. And the Greenies agree with me 100%.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Ramirez.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Regarding energy, environment, and the committee report, we are very disappointed that the Department of Water and Power has hired tons and tons of illegal criminal aliens, and we cannot even accommodate our United States military veterans, whether they are active or inactive.
Mr. President, she needs to talk about items that are within the jurisdiction of this committee.
No, it's not. It's not. The issue is...
But again, under public comments, I would like to see more military veterans hired.
Okay.
Military veterans, whether they are active or inactive, uniformed or ununiformed.
On the council, when we're in council during general public comment, you can speak about that. But now, I mean, if you would listen, you would hear what the rules are. Your time's expired. Thank you. Okay, sergeants, help her, please. Help her find her seat. And she is, without a doubt, disturbing this committee. I hate to have to do that. Okay, Madam Clerk, is there any more business before this council? Okay, we just been joined by Mr. Bonin. Mr. Bonin, and we said to Mr. Koretz, you're here. Mr. Weezer has agreed to schedule your moratorium motion, and I have agreed to quickly bring it to the floor. So let's do something good, and let's create some happy people. So that will be the order. This committee is adjourned. And now, sergeants, call the members and have them report to the council chambers so that we can begin council. Mr. Labange, if you would please take the chair and try to get this thing in order.